What's been wow? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are for our second part of our Lions selection. Ferg still drinking that glass of wine.
It's a second.
Yeah, it's so
It's a bit warm now.
Ferg, take us away.
So yeah, we're on to the backs now, and then guys who missed out, and then we'll just recap our full, or we'll show you our full squad really quickly at the end.
It's just loading.
Let me just watch
Yeah,
that.
Team Bread, Lion Squad.
Yeah, right. You ready?
Okay, straight into it.
Yep. Let's go.
So the backs, starting with scrum half. Jamison Gibson Park, Thomas Williams, and George Horn. Fly half, Finn Russell, Marcus Smith, and Finn Smith. On to the centres. So I just kind of categorised the centres like the second row. Sione Tui Pilotu and Bundyaki. The other centres, Hugh Jones and Robbie Henshaw. And then on to the back three. James Lowe, Hugo Keenan, Tommy Freeman, Blair Kinghorn, Darcy Graham, and Kyle Stain. Some big calls there, boys. Some big calls. So
Perfect.
close
Don't really
call.
see any.
Sorry,
Don't
go.
really see any bolters. Anyway, go.
Well, we'll start in a minute with that. So there's some close calls that we'll go through afterwards. A few of the backs got one vote as well, but I needed the forwards separately. So starting with scrum half,
Okay.
Jamison Gibson Park and Thomas Williams, in my opinion, are the two dead set they're going. I find it interesting
Yeah.
he chose George Horn. I think George is
Oh.
fantastic. I think he struggles to start at international level for Scotland, and whether that's reasons from Gregor or reasons in his game, we don't know. But I mean, happy that we've got him in there. I would be buzzing for him if he did get in on the actual day in May 8th, but take it away, boys.
So
I think. Sorry, Juan, you go first.
I agree with you, Ferg, with Jamison Gibson Park and Tommaso Williams. I think they are the only clear players in the scrum half position in the Six Nations that you could have gone for. But my God, George Horn, I think in the world right now, he's the best supporting player, hands down. He is the best. He's the best supporting player for any breakaway, anything. He's there like a flash. It's the reason he scored so many tries this year for Glasgow. It's the reason he scored so many points for Glasgow. He's just incredible at it. He's on top form. I rate him so highly as a player. As you know, I rate him so highly as a player. I think he's just incredible, and I don't think if he goes, I think fantastic to him. But I don't think he's lucky if he goes. I think he deserves his place.
What I would say as well on that point is that in Australia, that fast game will suit him down to a T.
Yeah.
The way that you want to try and beat Australia. Anything on scrum half games?
I completely agree with Juan.
Fair enough.
He's just said all my points, so.
Fair enough. Well, makes a good podcast that way, doesn't it? When we steal all the points and just go, yeah, we agree.
Yeah, it's true. And this isn't a podcast.
A vlog?
A video.
A video?
No, it's just a video.
Well, anyway, on to fly half. So I don't think there needs to be much said about Finn Russell being in this team, unless you're Johnny Sexton. That would be the only caveat to that. If he doesn't go, it'll be an absolute travesty. I think we all agree on that. It'll be.
I say he goes across to Australia and plays for them under a false name.
Yeah.
He wears a hat the whole time.
Yeah. So then Marcus Smith and Finn Smith, notably the one that I think we all kind of, I can't remember what the votes were. We'll see in a minute. But Prendergast is the one who's missed out here out of the out and out fly half category. The obvious one who's a Six Nations starter. Do you know what I mean? At fly half.
Yeah.
I would like to say my bit on Prendergast. I think Prendergast in the next 4 years, so the next tour, will be a bolt on straight on the playing guy. Don't think he's ready. I think he's ready.
I agree
Yeah.
with that, to be honest.
I think unless he can improve his defensive game,
Yeah.
then that's where he needs to improve.
Uh-huh.
Without a doubt. His kicking, great. His vision, great. But so you see a lot of clips being like, look how class Pendergast is, and he does like the odd pass, like not like amazing pass, just like a wee pop,
Mhm.
and then the rest of the play goes on, and they score, and I'm like, that wasn't Pendergast though. That was
Yeah.
like Andiaki making a break.
Yeah.
You know, like
What I would say as well is that when you look at Marcus Smith and Finn Smith coming off the bench to back up Finn, assuming that he's the starter, they add
Mm.
something different and can change a game for you.
each of them do.
Each
Yeah,
of them in a different way. Prendergast, I don't think adds anything Finn can't do himself.
yeah.
Whereas
I
I think
think-
Finn Smith and Marcus add something a bit different.
I think the fact
Yeah.
that you've got Russell, Marcus Smith, and Finn Smith, all three of them play different types of fly half.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and also Marcus Smith. Like, I know we've got a good back threes there, but worst comes to worst, you have another back three in Marcus
Yeah.
Smith. He can fill that slot. You know,
Yeah,
even though we have plenty of fullbacks there.
yeah. So moving on to the centres then. Ringrose is probably the only omission here that could have arguably been put in.
Uh-huh.
But I think Hugh Jones has been better than him.
I
think
think it's these
Ringrose has been outdone.
partnerships.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think Henshaw gives you a bit of variety because Sione and Henshaw can both play 13 comfortably. And it means that
Yeah.
you've got that kind of interchangeability there.
I think with
I
the
mean-
centres, all four of those guys you're taking can play with each other easily. We'll change a game easily
Yeah.
if you put them any rotation of each other.
Yeah, I would also say that
There-
there's a couple of guys in the back three that can also play in the outside the centre position. If
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Tommy
wanted to play
Freeman,
them there.
say no.
Yep. So, but we'll get to them in a minute.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I
James,
agree.
what were you going to say about the centres?
I just think it's the fact it's a bit, you know, the fact they're those two pairings, which are the two pairings that always stood out. Last Six Nations definitely. I mean, this Six Nations
Uh-huh.
Gioni couldn't play, but Hugh Jones stood out phenomenally this year.
Yep.
Bundy Aki stood out, like his defence and his just physicality was phenomenal this year.
James, he
Yeah.
absolutely changed.
And Henshaw was just he was great as well.
Ever present, you know?
Yeah.
Just always there doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Whether that was off the bench or starting, I think he always did a stand-up job for Ireland, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, some would
Just
say he's
clash,
solid.
mate. He's just clash.
class. He's class.
So if I was Duncan, I'd probably sit here and go, I don't know, Ringrose is the one.
Nah.
I mean, Duncan would be talking about getting Stafford McDowell in there.
Oh, that's true, actually.
I'm surprised. The only bolter I could have argued for there, like if there was going to be a bolter, it would be TJ.
Yeah, Tom Jordan.
Yes.
Definitely for the fly half set of discussion was definitely on the cards. Again,
Yeah.
we'll get
I
to him in the.
I could see him getting flown out if there are any injuries in that kind of.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
It's a numbers game at this point though, so because it's a 37-man squad, you know, so there is a real balance
Yeah.
in that. So I'd understand if he didn't go having had to put this together ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We've all not to the same
Yeah.
extent Andy Farrell will have, but we've had to do a pseudo version of the picking, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to
I
back
don't think
three.
Farrell-
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry,
I said I don't think Andy Farrell stood in Popeyes making his squad.
that's very true. Like, you don't know that though, do you?
But you don't know. You don't know that.
People have their ways of working. Yeah, it's a modern society we live in now. It's agile, Juan. It's an agile way of working.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just need to go on a call. So anyway, on to the back three. I
Yep.
mean, James Lowe is the form winger at the minute. I actually, as a player, prefer Duhan, but the form that he's in compared to Duhan, you can't argue with it. He's been brilliant. His kicking
Yeah.
game adds so much to that
He's
back three. He makes himself impossible
got
not
built.
to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I agree.
Yeah.
No,
He
I
has
personally
just been on
like
form.
him, but I can't go against him because he's got a bit like a cannon and he just
Yeah.
scores tries. All he
So,
does.
so strong in the carry as well. Like,
Yeah.
unreal how many people he bounces. And Hugo Keenan, I think, well, we can just talk about him and Blair Kinghorn at the same time here. They're the two
Yeah.
fullbacks. Like,
Yeah, without
they-
doubt.
like, who else do you put in there? Can win it.
Blair Murray
already.
could have been a bolter, but he's only just really coming into his
Yeah,
game here.
exactly. Freddie Stewart hasn't
I mean-
really done enough, in my opinion. George Furbank
No.
hasn't really proved himself at international. These are the only two established international fullbacks playing in the Six Nations right now.
Yeah. I also think Freddie Stewart he gets in his head too much, I think. And once he's off form in a game,
That's it.
Yeah.
you might as well
Dominoes.
take him off. He's not coming back.
But the problem's going to be when it comes to if there's an injury, he's probably the first guy
Yes.
on the plane for fullback.
Yeah.
Well,
TJ again? Anyone?
I mean, he's a group. I think he's a great player to take, TJ, but we'll talk about it
Yeah.
later.
he's just very versatile.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
So let's talk about Tommy Freeman and Darcy Graham now. Tommy Freeman, outside centre cover, was, I mean, definitely. Did he get nominated for Player of the Tournament? Because he was unbelievable for
I think he was nominated. Yeah,
He was
Yeah, I
great.
think
he was
He's
class.
great in the
I think he
Champions
was their
Cup.
best winner.
Yeah, and he's not a try scorer either. He's a team player. Like
He's a work rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he makes everyone else around him look fantastic. A real asset. He
Yeah.
has to be on the plane. And also, like we
Yeah.
said earlier, can cover outside centre too, which gives
Yeah.
you more
Mhm.
cover there.
Yeah, I think Tommy was phenomenal in the Six Nations. I also think Darcy, I think we'll all agree on this. He is one of the best wingers about just now. His footwork, and his work rate is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, if you're unsure if he's going to get through, like, or if someone see if he's going up against a defender and they doubt themselves against him, he's through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is what I like about Darcy Graham. Every match he goes against could potentially be a mismatch. So if he's got two international wingers, two international props, both could potentially be a mismatch.
And he's not scared to get physical.
Yeah.
No.
One thing I would say is that, and we'll move on to Kyle in a second, is that I think Farrell will probably pick Matt Hansen. And I think one of Duhan, Darcy, and Kyle will go, but not more than one of them. I think realistically that's probably what's going to happen, and it's obviously injury dependent. But we'll get. I mean, we'll find out on the 8th of May, won't we?
Yeah.
Totally agree with everything you said about Darcy. What a player, footwork great, and against a team like Australia, where it's likely to be a bit more loose, he'd be a really exciting guy to have there.
Yeah.
So then our bolter in the back three, arguably, seeing as he hasn't played the Six Nations, he's been great for Scotland when we've had an injury, and arguably I think he's in the conversation to be starting for Scotland against Darcy and Duhan, but Darcy and Duhan seem to get the nods just because of the credit they have in the bank.
Yeah.
But they're all fantastic and bring their own stuff, you know? Like,
I've always said this. I think Kyle Steyn is better than Duhan.
I agree.
I think he's so much. I think he brings so much more.
I think
you're correct with that.
I think he's a better rugby player. So in my opinion, I think Steno is a better rugby player than Duhan. But Duhan is a freak of nature that it takes 3 guys to stop him. And having that kind of asset in your team is very good to have.
My thing with Kyle is Kyle can also do that as well. Kyle can also have 3 men bring him down. But Kyle could also pop that ball at the back when 3 men are bringing him down. Kyle's got softer hands. He's better in the air. He's a better defender. He's
a great lover.
And he's a fantastic. Got it. It's a very handsome man.
Steno, if you're watching this.
Why are you sorry?
Sorry, Steno's missus then, if you're watching this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's a lucky woman. That's all I gotta say.
No, I think you're absolutely right. He's got softer hands. I think Cairns has put it spot on. He's a better rugby player than Doohan is.
Yes.
But I think Cairns is also right where Doohan brings that something special, that X factor that not many players in world rugby have ever had, never mind have right now.
Yeah.
He can do, like, we've seen him run through brick walls
England so many
he
times.
should never ever have got through, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Steno's fantastic what he does, and he does that to a certain extent, but Doohan just gets that extra burst through. But we've picked Kyle, and again, I would be bloody made up for him because he also covers 13, and he's a fantastic 13.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, he's definitely one that should be in the conversation for.
Yeah, since season for Glasgow after his long-term injury, he's been utterly insane. Like he's been so good,
unbelievable how good he is. But I think his injuries during the Six Nations might hamper his chances, to be honest.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our backline. So now we move on to the close calls. So the close calls we had: Doohan nearly made it in with 2 votes. Jamie George and Tom Curry both had 2 votes and nearly made it into our starting packs. Again, we talked kind of about Jamie George. Arguably could have been in there. We've talked plenty about Doohan. Tom Curry, we didn't really cover in the forward video, but I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him go, to be honest. He's an international test animal. Like, and he's good at what he does. The scrum halves were interesting because we had to take a revote because George Horan, Alex Mitchell, and Ben White all had 1 vote each from the 3 of us, which I could see any of the 3 of them going, to be fair. In the revote, George won through. Ringrose, we covered already. Prendergast, anything you wanted to say about him, Juan? You said you wanted to save it.
No, it was TJ I wanted to save, but I'll say again. I just think Prendergast is in a few years' time he'll have it, but right now he doesn't have it. He's too young. He's too young. He's too inexperienced. But I also think with Prendergast, I think he looks good because he's in good teams.
Yeah,
I said it. Right. He looks. He's in a great Ireland team. He's in a great Leinster team. I reckon if you took
it's the same team.
I think if you took Prendergast and put him in, I don't know. I'm not gonna name any bad teams because that's just making my. I'm not gonna name teams. I think if you put him in, a bad team, he wouldn't perform outstandingly.
What I would say about that is that under 20s and in his first season at Leipzig, he had some magic moments that we have to remember. But Test match rugby is a different thing, and I don't know if that's a confidence thing as well with him at top level. First season being the guy in the chair, So I think you're probably right. A few years will be ready. Owen Farrell got 1 vote. I personally I don't think he should go. I think that he's not been playing that well for Racing, apart from that weekend just gone there in the top 14, the last weekend before the Champions Cup quarterfinals. He had quite a good game there, but outside of that, he's been outplayed by Dan Lancaster, arguably. He's not fired in that team the way that Finn was running that team. I'd argue that he's potentially a better 12 than 10 as well.
You've all.
And I think the lack of international rugby should hurt his chances for getting in.
Well, he's not in our team, Ferg. You don't have to convince us, all right?
No, I think Owen Farrell. I personally put Owen Farrell in. That's my vote probably. Purely just because of
either it was or it wasn't.
I probably. Not pointing finger. I just thought it was experience. He's done been there, done that with us.
Yeah.
I think he'll be great. I think he'd be a great leader. I think it's unfair to say he's not doing well at Racing. Racing's a tough place to go. Johnny Sexton done terribly. Dan Carter done terribly. These are great players.
No, Dan Carter did quite well there, actually.
He didn't do great though. He didn't do Finn Russell things.
Well, that's because
He didn't do
budget. They didn't have the budget that Finn had when they were there.
And he's also not as Dan Carter's just not as good as Finn Russell, obviously.
I would say that it shows, especially when you play in Australia, right? It shows the type of player that can go into an established good team that doesn't rely heavily on their 10 and do well, a la Sexton and Farrell. Both have gone into that Racing team and both struggled. Finn went in there and he took them up a level. He's done the same with Bath. These are guys that need a solid structure and coach behind them, whereas Finn can make things happen and feed that more. Yeah. I imagine Owen and Johnny Sexton are like both great off the field in feeding team culture and everything, but there's a cog there that someone like Finn has that they don't have. And they maybe have it in other ways with their pragmatism and the way they play. But
I'm just saying it's no coincidence that Bath are top of the Prem right now. It's no coincidence.
Yeah, I agree. So final close call, Tom Jordan, who we actually did a revote for fly half before I realised we had 38 players, so it didn't matter anyway. But Tom Jordan won far and away our revote, getting an extra 3 votes, I think, over Prendergast.
Of course he did.
Not that we're biased in any way, but I think that utility that he provides is key. Please fly half
10, 12,
or 15
comfortably.
Yeah. He's had a great year. I think last year he had a great year as well. He's physical. He makes a lot of mistakes. He makes a lot of mistakes in defence, but he makes a lot of mistakes in attack. I think what he does physicality wise and game changing wise, I think he's calmed down a lot as well. Obviously that first couple of years at Glasgow, especially that Munster quarter semi-final where he gets sent off. I don't think he makes those bad decisions anymore as much. I think he still, will make a couple, but I don't think he's as hot-headed to go, I need to make this game-winning tackle here when it's 5 minutes in. I think he's proven himself as a player, and he's got a great contract at Bristol because of it. I think hopefully he does well at Bristol, but I think he's a great player. I like him.
Yeah, I agree. Cairns, anything else you want to fill in on that before we go to?
Nah, I agree.
Happy?
I agree.
Happy? Right.
Yeah.
So this is our full squad. I'll just quickly run through the forwards again. So Porter, Schumann, Genge, Lucid, Sheen, Dan and Keller, Hooker, Furlong, Ferguson and Beelum at tight head. Second rows of Toji, McCarthy, Byrne, Chesham, Ryan and Jenkins. And back row, Van der Fleer, Doris, Dempsey, Pollock, Darge and Arrow. And then we've been through the back line already today. I think it's a pretty good squad. I think I can't see the front row being much different from that. I can't see the second row being hugely different. Maybe 1 or 2 in the second row changing.
I can only see the backs really being back row to backs.
Yeah,
being
back
different.
row being completely different. I think scrum half is a toss up for the third scrum half position. Fly half, Prendergast could get in because of the Irish influence. I think.
And then back 3 could be Duhan.
Yeah, I would say the centres, apart from Ringrose maybe getting in there, the centres are those centres. I would be shocked if it's any other way.
Yes.
And the back 3.
Limoncello.
The back 3 likely Hansen gets in, and then one of Duhan, Darcy, and Kyle also getting in there. But so let us know what you think of our squad in the comments, right?
Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and then we'll play some games against Farrell's squad.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do that in Challenge 4 because Rugby 25 does not have that functionality.
No. Well, we will anyway. Wow. Yeah. Rugby 25, I hope you're not watching. Catch you later.
Please let us know what ones we get wrong come May 8th.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Got it.